Hello everyone. Okay, I am going to show you how to make chicken marsala today. So we'll start over here. This time I just got some thin sliced chicken breast instead of getting the whole breast and then slicing it down the center and making two breasts. So we're going to try that. I'm using a whole 16-ounce package of baby bella mushrooms. I will clean them off, take the stems off, and slice them. We're going to need some butter, some heavy whipping cream, 1 shallot, 2 garlic cloves, salt, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, black pepper, onion powder, smoked paprika, parsley flakes. If you have fresh parsley, you can definitely use it. We're going to be using just a little bit of the better than bouillon chicken. We have some flour, chicken stock, some marsala cooking wine, some olive oil, and then just a dash of this browning sauce, browning liquid. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna get my mushrooms cleaned up and sliced. I'm gonna get my garlic cloves chopped along with my shallot. I'm gonna get chopped. What else? I'm gonna put some of my flour onto a plate, and that's all we're using the flour for. We're gonna season the chicken both sides, and then we're gonna put some flour on a plate. Just press the chicken breast into the flour, both sides, to make sure it's covered. Now I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I make chicken marsala, I love a lot of gravy. I make mine with homemade mashed potatoes. So I'm gonna be having mashed potatoes, and I love gravy. And I'm gonna be eating this for a couple days. So to be honest, I do not measure. I will do it as I go, but I'll let you know how much I use. But you have to remember, I'm pretty much, because I want a lot of gravy, I'm not using specific measurements. I just know by looking. And I think I told y'all before, when it comes to baking, you know, like cakes or cookies or brownies and things like that, when you're not buying the box stuff, then yes, I do measure, because you can mess a recipe up very quickly. For instance, the flour, if you put too much flour, like if you pack the flour into a measuring cup when you're making like cookies or brownies or cakes, it can mess up your whole entire recipe. So some things you pack, other things you don't. So yeah, since I'm just cooking this way, I will not measure anything, but I will show you guys as I go, and you'll see how much I make. I got my 2 sticks of butter. I have a 5-pound bag of potatoes, and I use 2 sticks of butter. I probably will not use the whole 5-pound bag, maybe like 3 pounds or so. But I get them out a while so they start to get soft. But yeah, I'm going to get this all ready, and I'll show you what we do as I go. Okay, I've got some olive oil in my pan here, probably about 1/4 cup or so. If you need to add more, you can. I have 2 tablespoons of butter here, which I will be adding in once my oil gets heated up. I have about 3/4 cup of flour here, and I put in some paprika, some salt, and some pepper. We're just gonna give that a stir. And if you wanted to put any other spices in here, you can. So stir that in. I have my chicken here. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna season both sides. We're gonna put pepper, onion powder, salt, paprika, Italian seasoning, and garlic powder. So go ahead and put all of those spices on, flip it over, and then do the same thing. And as soon as I do that, I will be back. Okay, I got my chicken, got the seasonings on my chicken, both sides. And now you're just going to take each piece of chicken, and you're going to make sure that it's fully covered in the flour. Just like that. And then we're going to just set it off to the side. So I'm going to do that with all of the chicken. Again, make sure it's all covered. And you can shake off any excess. I'm gonna put it back on the plate. All right, I'm gonna get this done to all 4 pieces and I will be back. Okay, I got both sides of my chicken in the flour and then I just threw the flour away. And now we are going to add butter into our pan and get that melted. And once the butter's melted, then we're gonna cook our chicken. So we're gonna cook it, these are pretty thin. I'd say just to be safe, 3 to 4 minutes per side. And then once they're done, you're just gonna, you can put them on a baking rack and just let them chill off to the side until we're ready for them. So this was about 2 tablespoons of butter as well, with the olive oil. All right, let's get the chicken in the pan. If it wants to come off the fork. All right. Guess I could turn it up a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna get these cooked on both sides. Then once I'm finished with that, go ahead and put the cooked chicken on a baking rack until we're ready for them, and I will show you what we do next. Just wanted to show you all, I did just flip them, and they're looking delicious. They're almost done, and then I'll put the remaining 2 in, and we'll get those cooked. Okay, I have my chicken over here on a cooling rack. So we're just gonna let them sit here and rest. I did not add any more oil to my pan. I just removed it from the heat for the time being. I have my mushrooms sliced. I have my shallot sliced, my garlic and butter if I need it. So now we're just gonna put our mushrooms in the pan, return it back to the heat. And I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit more actually, between 8 and high. And we're just gonna cook the mushrooms until they're nice and golden brown. Okay, so as my mushrooms are cooking, I'm scraping, the bits off the bottom of the pan. I do have 2 tablespoons of butter here if I need it. I'm just gonna sit it there. If I do end up adding the additional 2 tablespoons, I'll let you know. But if you feel like you need more oil, go ahead and put some more oil in. I may not need that extra 2 tablespoons actually, now that the mushrooms are cooking down. I'm gonna scrape this off and put it back in there. We're gonna definitely use that because that is flavor. I will be back. Mushrooms are looking good, and I did not use that 2 tablespoons of butter yet, but I'm gonna add in our shallots. And we're gonna cook the shallots for a few minutes. I will be back when it's time to add the garlic. Okay, they've cooked for a few minutes, the shallots and the mushrooms. Now we're going to add our garlic. And then just continue to stir the garlic so it doesn't burn. We're just going to cook the garlic for a few minutes as well until you really start smelling the garlic. Okay, I cooked the garlic for a few minutes, and now it's time to add our Marsala cooking wine. And then you're going to want to deglaze the pan as well again. And I'm just using the whole thing. So this is a 13 flow ounce off 13.1. I'm going to bring the heat back up to high. I'm going to deglaze the pan, and you're just going to want to let this cook. You just want to reduce it. Deglaze the bottom of the pan. It's going to come back up to a boil. I won't do that while I'm recording this because I know that noise. So yeah, bring it back up to the boil. We're gonna let it reduce, I would say probably 15 minutes or so. A good way to tell when the alcohol is all cooked out is if the steam that's coming up, like right now when I put my face over it, you can smell the alcohol. if you want to be sure the alcohol is out, just put your face over it. Be careful with the steam, but when you no longer smell the alcohol, then that is when it's done. So once I get to that point, I will be back. Okay, I have let this reduce for 15 minutes and we're looking great. Perfect, perfect, perfect. It smells delicious. So now what we're gonna do, this is a 32-ounce box of chicken stock. I'm gonna add at least half. I may end up adding more than that. And I do still have my heat on high. I love this gravy on my mashed potatoes as well, which is why I want a lot of gravy. We're gonna bring this back up to a boil. I'm gonna get my better than bouillon chicken out and I'm gonna just put a spoonful in there. I'll show you how much. Okay, got about a nice big spoonful. And we're gonna let that dissolve. Let it come back up to a boil. And then I'll be back to show you what we do next. Okay, I've been leaving this cook for a bit. I definitely need more gravy, so I'm just gonna add the entire box. I love gravy. So entire box of the chicken stock, 32 ounces. Once this comes up to a boil, I will show you what we do next, and that is going to be adding the heavy cream. Actually, before we add the heavy cream, we're just gonna add a dash of this browning. See what that does. There we go. Perfect. Because once we add the heavy cream in there, it's gonna get lighter. Perfect. Gonna get this up to a boil and then we will add the heavy cream. Okay, time to add the heavy cream. That's probably about 3/4 of the box. If I have to add more of the browning, I will, which I may have to. And this does get thicker as it sits, as it cooks. You know what? I'm just adding the whole thing. Adding the whole box. This is a 16 flow ounces. That way I have lots of gravy. Gonna let this come back up to heat. And then we're soon gonna be adding the chicken back in. Because I added the entire container of heavy whipping cream, I'm gonna add another dash of the browning sauce. May have to add a little bit more. See, when I cook like this is how I cook. A little bit more. And then once this is done and it gets thick, no, it won't be super, super thick, like a thick gravy. Well, I mean, it could if you added like some cornstarch, or you could have put some flour in. When you were in the when you were cooking the mushrooms and the shallots and garlic, you could have put a couple tablespoons, like maybe 2 tablespoons of flour in there, and then cooked it off for a couple minutes. Gonna add a little bit more. There we go, there we go, there we go. All right. So I'm just gonna let this cook for a bit, let it get thick. And I'm gonna take the dog that I'm watching out for a walk really quick while this is reducing a bit and getting thick, and then I will be back. Okay, we are good. And like I said, it will continue to get thicker. I just turned the heat off we're gonna add our chicken back in, and then I'm just gonna place a lid on it until I get my mashed potatoes ready. And you can taste it as well if you wanted to taste it right now. If it needs any additional spices, you can go ahead and add those. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And before I plate this up, actually, no, I can just do it now. We're gonna add a little bit of parsley. Sometimes I add thyme, but last time I made it, I put too much thyme, so we're just gonna put some parsley. And that'll do it. The heat is off. I'm gonna put the lid on it, and once my mashed potatoes are ready, I will be back to show y'all what it looks like once I get it plated, and we'll give it a taste. Hello everyone, my chicken marsala is done. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. Homemade mashed potatoes. And it's like 10 p.m. right now. Let's give it a taste. And I want a mushroom on there. Yum. Oh my goodness. So good. Delicious. I didn't have to add any additional spices or anything. Delicious, amazing. I definitely like using the those thin cuts of chicken. I feel like it saves you a step. You know, you don't have to pound them. My goodness, look at that. Amazing. I hope y'all like this video. If you make it, let me know how it turns out. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day, great weekend, and I will see you on the next one. Bye everyone.